Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome back to another live stream on the channel. And we can actually discuss a win. It's been a while since they've done that. It's felt like an absolute age since Leicester City have won a game. But Ruud Van Nistelrooy's first game in charge of Leicester couldn't have gone any better. Obviously, last night, Leicester City 3, West Ham United 1. We're going to try and dissect the game tonight, go into the tactics, that type of thing, try and work out where Ruud Van Nistelrooy is going in terms of how he wants to set Leicester up going forward. And also, we just have the main reaction from the game, who stood out. Obviously, it was a crazy game, loads of goals or loads of shots, I should say, in terms of West Ham as well. So make sure to let me know your thoughts in the chat. I put a poll in the chat as well of who you guys think should be the man of the match. So feel free to put a vote on that. I know El Canoes has already got off to a good start on that one. But yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be discussing the win. Make sure to go and check out the vlog as well. But yeah, let's get into the chat. Ranate, first person in here tonight. Big up. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing all right yourself. Obviously, drop a like, all of that good stuff as well. But yeah, I say we get straight into it. Couldn't have got off to a much better start, really, in terms of the 90 minutes. Obviously, Jamie Vardy gave Leicester City the lead inside. I think it was about 1 minute 30 something. Obviously, went to VAR, all that type of stuff. From where I was sitting, I thought it was miles off, but it was on, which is obviously fantastic. El Canoes, which we will discuss a bit later, but I think, to get off to that, to score that early, I think it set the tone really, because it was a difficult game. We always knew that West Ham were going to cause us some problems because they got a fantastic attack. Obviously, Mohamed Kudus come back into the team, Jared Bowen, we all know how good he is, etc. So it was always going to be a tough game, and for Leicester to take the lead that quickly was fantastic. And I think the way the goal came about in terms of the link up between Christensen, Bilal, El Canoes, and they brought in behind to Vardy, could shed some light on Leicester's future on the Ruud Van Nistelrooy. But we'll get into the more tactical side a bit later. Every player were focused on the Ruud 100%. There was that. I think it was clear to see that there was much more, fight, determination in the bunch yesterday. It felt like everyone was on it, and Leicester had to work extremely hard to get them 3 points, because just like I said, it wasn't easy at all. And even at 3-1 towards the end, I was still nervous because he can never really trust Leicester. But we got over the line. Obviously, a clean sheet would have been nice to have it, but I think Leicester getting a clean sheet in that game would have been pretty much criminal, really, because the amount of chances West Ham had. But then again, look, on another day, Leicester could have lost that game quite easily. But it's Ruud Van Nistelrooy what had 1 to 2 training sessions with the group at most, and to produce that performance, in my opinion, is very promising, in my opinion. And yes, people say it is a manager bounce. Obviously, it is a little bit, but I think from watching the game tactically, you can really see the elements he's trying to bring in. So in terms of Christians coming forward, El Quinuz drops inside, and one thing I really liked about Ruud yesterday was his substitutions as well. Extremely proactive. Unlike Steve Cooper, Ruud recognised what needed to happen, used all 5, utilised everyone, made the right subs at the right time. It was obvious that Daka had to come on. I've never seen Vardy so involved, because at times the only outball was to Vardy, is having to come deep, try and win headers. Obviously Daka came on, he stretched in behind, got his goal. I thought Daka was good. We'll get onto him later. Apart from that, obviously freshened up the back line with that Faz coming in, which I don't think was the most popular substitution, but it did work out quite well, because obviously West Ham, they originally started with Ings up front. They had Bowen coming on, they had Kudus coming on, Paquetá as well in midfield to try and stretch it as well. So I think Ruud made the right decision there, and obviously bring the likes of Deco Reed and Ayew on late on to get that experience. And then obviously Steffi came on towards the end as well. So I think all in all, it was a tactical masterclass, really, by Van Nistelrooy in terms of the tactics itself, but also his substitutions and how he managed the game. Are we getting Dewsbury Hall back? There is that little rumour going around, but I wouldn't read anything into it at the minute. Saka Cooper will keep Leicester up. Well, I agree. In January, yeah. We'll have to see about January. I did see something that that Harvey Barnes was available as well, so maybe we get everyone back. But I'll have to wait and see. Don't Man United sign permanent? I think he could probably go to Man United in the future. What manager we have? Indeed, we do. Anyway, let's get into it then. Obviously, I mentioned Vardy's goal. Vintage Vardy, class finish, and he almost scored one just a few minutes after that one. And obviously, Ruud Van Nistelrooy's first win for Leicester. But yeah, let's get into the starting team then. I think this caused a bit of controversy on Twitter, especially. Obviously, the likes of McAteer starting over Steffi Mavrodidi, obviously Connor Cody at the back alongside Yannick Vestergaard. But I think overall, for a manager's first team selection, you can't really have too many complaints, really. And I think, it worked out quite well. I thought Cody, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, I thought he had a very solid game. I thought Yannick was good. I thought everyone was good. One player who I think deserves a lot of praise is Victor Christiansen. We'll get onto him a bit later, but I thought he was unbelievable yesterday. He must have put in, I want to see his running stats because he was up and down. Because obviously I sat on the left side in the first half. He was up and down the whole time. Obviously El Canoes came inside, but I thought everyone was good. I think one player who had a bit of a poor game was Facundo Buonanotte. I think at times he was trying a bit too hard, I'd say, to try and pull things off. He had the right ideas, I guess, but just couldn't execute them. But apart from that, he worked hard for the team, and that's the most important thing. Every player on that pitch worked extremely hard yesterday, and I think at times this season he could say otherwise. And look, that West Ham team, despite them, they haven't had a good start to the season. It's a very strong team, and I think Leicester did a fantastic job to nullify that. Despite the fact that West Ham had about 30 shots or something, a lot of them shots were blocked. So I think the stats are a little bit misleading on that point. But I think overall the team was good from Leicester in terms of the setup, which I'll get into later. It's quite interesting in terms of the fullback. In terms of the stats, then, just like I said, West Ham had the more shots. Obviously, they had the more expected goals, 1.6 to West Ham's 3 in terms of that. First half and second half were quite even, in terms of the big chances and whatnot. But, despite Leicester conceding so many chances, we had a lot of chances ourselves. Obviously, we scored 3 goals. We had 1 goal disallowed through Bobby Deco over Reed, who I thought was very good, by the way, when he came on. And we had some big chances. Dak had a few. Obviously Vardy had that one a few minutes after he scored, just like I said. So I think overall it was quite promising. And just like I said, we have to be, put context into this. Ruud had 1 training session at most, and barely even that. He can't really do anything in 1 training session. So I think to be able to put that performance in and to have that style of play starting to build up is very promising. I'm going to have a quick look on the poll. In the chat, 8 votes. Everyone has voted for Bilal El Khanous as the man of the match, and I'm probably going to agree. So at least we're all on the same page in terms of that one. Anyway, make sure keep letting me know your thoughts in the chat. I have seen that rumour, yeah. I don't know too much about them in fairness. Caleb, hopefully you're doing all right as well. Welcome to the stream. Bilal, where's Jamie's socks? Indeed he did. Given that magic touch, I guess. Obviously, on them shots, as you can see, West Ham on the left should have done that the other way around, really. But you can just see the sheer volume of the amount of shots they had. But Leicester had their chances, just like I said, and at the end of the day, Leicester were far more clinical, and that's what got us over the line. And that's what got us a valuable 3 points. I think that 3 points brings us up to 13 points now, I should say, and gives us a bit of breathing space between us and the relegation zone. Here's 4 players then who I think were absolutely fantastic yesterday. But El Khanous, I think I think it's pretty obvious that he was absolutely fantastic yesterday. 1 goal, 1 assist, his first Premier League goal for Leicester City as well. So big up to all the Moroccans. If any are watching, you guys have got a player on your hands for the national team. But I thought El Khanous was absolutely superb yesterday in terms of his work rate. His balls in behind. He was just absolutely everywhere. And even before he came off, he was winning balls. He was a determined man yesterday, and he's made a big impression through Van Nistelrooy. And I think someone like Bilal El Khanous is going to be a big player in this system going forward. Another man who did help El Khanous was Victor Christiansen. Just like I said, I thought he was absolutely superb. As you can see from his heat map, he was up and down that left-hand side. And obviously the way we play now under Van Nistelrooy is that 1 fullback is very much advanced. In the first half, it was obviously Victor Christiansen. And as you can see from his heat map, he was over the halfway line quite a lot. And that meant that El Khanous had to tuck inside and kind of drop into left back at times when Leicester did get exposed, which is a slight worry in my opinion, because in the first half, we were quite open on our left-hand side in terms of Jared Bowen coming inside, but obviously he didn't score. But I think that's one thing we do need to try and improve on, because at times we are going to get punished in that area. But I thought the link-up between Bilal El Khanous, Christensen, and even someone like Samaria and Wilfred and Didi, I thought were very good. But I think we need to shine some light on Samaria and Didi, the 2 sixes sitting in front of the defence. I think that's the way Van Nistelrooy is going to be playing. But I thought them 2 were absolutely superb as well. I think Samora, he isn't the most popular player amongst Leicester fans, but I thought yesterday he was absolutely outstanding, absolutely brilliant. He was winning everything. He picked up balls in fantastic positions, and did he? No, we will expect that from Wilf. To be fair, in that area, all over the shop, picking the ball up, winning it back, setting the tone, and really helping Leicester, because West Ham had some good chances yesterday, and I thought I thought as a collective, and especially Samori and Ndidi, did a fantastic job to really prevent that. So yeah. Are we confident against Brighton on Sunday? It's a tough game, but after that performance, there's no reason why we can't go out there on Sunday and make it a difficult game for Brighton. Obviously, they are the clear favourites, but I don't think there's no reason why we can't at least get a point from Sunday. But we'll speak about that a bit later. But I think Sunday's going to be a different type of test coming up against Brighton. I don't want to come off in the wrong way, but what will be the opinion on Ruud when we inevitably get 1 point from the next 4 games? I think it honestly depends on the performances really, because I would say I'm happy losing, but I'm okay with losing as long as the performance is good. But if we're losing and having a shot in our first shot on target in the 95th minute, it's not ideal. But as long as we are competing in games, and obviously, yeah, just like you say, context has to come into it. I get where you're coming from. The next load of games are very difficult. Obviously, that Wolves one before Christmas is one I'm looking at that we do need to win. But I think overall, as long as the performances are there and as long as we keep building up and you can see clear style and identity within this team, I think it's only a positive. I think this team is good enough to stay up, and come January, if we can make a few, enforcements and reinforcements in terms of the whole squad and subs and whatnot, I think we are in a good place to stay up because we've got that margin already, and under a new manager, I think we're only going to improve. So yeah. It's gonna be interesting, but yeah, I don't think we could have got off to a better start. It reminds me of Bilal Matt. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, spot on. Really, then balls in behind to Vardy. I thought Vardy yesterday was fantastic as well. Really, obviously didn't play the full game, but you can't really expect him to. But he's back to his old self, running in behind, pressing from the front. That's what I mean. Everyone was on it yesterday, and that's the reason why Leicester won. You can have all the talent in the world, but if everyone's on the same wavelength and pressing the right way, trying to win the ball back and setting the tone, it's going to accumulate into good things. Tom, welcome to the stream, mate. If you're doing all right, I already answered that one. Anyway, let's move on then. What we got here, some breakdown stats then from Bilal Alkanouz and Wilfred Ndidi. So have a little read over them if you want, but I've highlighted just enough how fantastic them two were. Obviously, Wolf played the whole 90 minutes, 64 touches. So yeah, one shot as well. And Wolf yesterday was very good on and off the ball as well. So yeah, and obviously we've spoken about Bilal Alkanouz, 3 big chances created as well, 3 key passes I think it is. So yeah, breakout performance from Bilal yesterday in terms of that. In terms of the average positions, you can't really read too much into this because Leicester did mix up between the halves, but as you can see, the likes of Buonanotte and McAteer were interestingly, if you put number 35, very narrow. For a winger, and I can see Alkanouz number 11 is quite narrow as well, and that's the way Van Nistelrooy does like to play. I'm surprised McAteer is that central really, because I thought he's mainly from the wide, but there you go. And obviously, as you can see, you got Samari and Ndidi pretty much next to each other, just in front of the back line there. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a breakdown of the game. So. First thing I want to look at is Victor Christensen. If you guys look top left or top right of your screen, Leicester's left back, look how high Christensen is in this situation, and I think that highlights just how high he's going to be playing. I think this is the way we are going to go. Obviously, under Steve Cooper, it was James Justin who was mainly going forward on that right hand side. This time, I think it's going to be Victor Christensen, and he can provide that width. Obviously, just like I said earlier on, it does exploit us a bit defensively in terms of tracking back and when the ball gets turned over. But I think going forward, someone like Christensen can offer a big threat, because I think some people are not too keen on him, but I've always backed him. I think there's a real player in Victor Christensen, and I think playing in that more advanced role, we can really get the best out of him. At times, I think he could have progressed the ball a bit more yesterday, but he got into some fantastic errors, and it can cause teams some real issues. So that's one thing I think which was clear to see, and this was from the first few minutes of the game. And in terms of the pressing as well, West Ham have the ball here, and so far this season, this was never the case for Leicester. You got obviously Christensen there, you got Alkanouz, you got Buonanotte coming across. It's very condensed in that kind of central position here. Obviously, the ball on the left hand side. McAteer's even quite far over as well for a wing, and obviously you can see Ndidi in the picture there. But you have Samari a bit further back as well. But I think that tells you everything in terms of the pressing, and I think it's a clear thing from Van Nistelrooy's kind of philosophy in how he wants to play. And when Daka came on, he saw Daka lead the line pressing, and when teams are tiring, if Leicester can do this throughout the large portions of the game, it's difficult to defend against that. Vardy scored 141 goals. Indeed, he's coming from Michael Owen. 9 more goals. Agreed. I really hope Daka can kick on that. 100%. We'll speak about that in a few minutes. But yeah, I thought Daka was very good yesterday, and this could give him a lot of confidence. It wasn't an easy finish, but I think he did well when he came on, and I think Van Nistelrooy should hopefully use Daka and Vardy quite wisely, because I think the both of them are quite similar. I guess I think Daka's obviously that bit more raw, and he's probably obviously he's faster than Vardy right now. But the goal Daka scored was kind of vintage Vardy from a few years ago, and a younger Jamie Vardy. So yeah, I think it's very positive in terms of Daka's impact, and I think everyone's impact though. Yesterday, I think we utilised the subs perfectly. Lots of Bobby Deck on over Reed. Despite he's not the most flashy player, is he? But he came on, he did a job. He obviously scored. Disappointed, he got ruled out for obviously through VAR. But I think if you can utilise them Premier League experienced players and Jordan Ayes as well, and obviously Harry Winks as well when he comes back. This is one question to you guys in the chat. Does Harry Winks even get into this team based on that? Because I think it's going to be quite difficult for him to get in ahead of Ndidi and Samare, and especially if Leicester are going to play this kind of 2-6s sitting. Is Winks really that physical to really play there? And has Winks got the legs to play higher? I'm not too sure. So it's going to be difficult to see how Van Nistelrooy tries to utilise Harry Winks in this system. But I'm sure he will be given a role of some sort. But yeah, moving things forward then, in terms of the general pressing structure, as expected, really, it is a 4-4-2. As you can see, it's Buonanotte who joins Vardy at the top of the press. You got the midfield of obviously El Khanous, who drops back to his kind of left wing position. You got Buba and Wilfred and Diddy in the middle. Then obviously McAteer on the right, and then the flat back four, obviously Cody, Yannick, Christensen, obviously James Justin at right back. So as expected, really quite simple in football. It's kind of similar to what we did under Enzo Maresca, and all in all, it did work for large parts. Really, obviously we won the game at the end of the day. I think this is where the goal comes about. As you can see, you got Samori and Ndidi sitting quite deep again, giving passing options. It does kind of obviously it's going to be difficult to kind of receive the ball there, but it does drag two West Ham players out, and obviously you have got that space in behind. And this is where Leicester did find the breakthrough. It's a smart ball between Christensen and El Khanous. The ball gets played in behind to Vardy, who finished perfectly behind against Fabianski. Obviously got ruled out for offside, but yeah, positive stuff. And just like I said, just a few minutes later, it could have well have been 2-0 to Leicester. Once again, Christensen this time playing the ball in behind to Vardy, advanced, and I think Fabianski got a slight touch in it to send it behind for a corner. But this is vintage Leicester. This is what we could do, and we need to utilise this, because despite Vardy not being the fastest, it's still been incredibly difficult to stop his runs in behind. And Max Kilman had an absolute disaster yesterday. So I think we can utilise that. And obviously when Daka comes on, he's got that raw pace anyway, so it's even difficult just to stop that, despite obviously Vardy's kind of technicality in terms of how his football IQ in terms of his running in behind. He's always going to know that because he's done it for years and he's scored for years, and that's his game. So yeah, I think it's all in all, it's incredibly promising stuff. So there's a little insight onto the game. I didn't obviously just got a few screenshots from it. Didn't spend too long on it, but yeah. You think Winks comes straight back in, calling the ball where to be rushed? Yeah, I do get your point, but to oppose that, do you think Ndidi and Samore offer a bit more in terms of their physicality and trying to win the ball back? Because at times this season, I think Leicester are just going to have to sit in, just like we did yesterday at times. And I think I'd rather have Samori and Ndidi trying to tackle. But then again, obviously, you do want Harry Winks to try to get on the ball and set the tone. So is that fine balance? And I think we are going to see a lot of rotation, obviously into Christmas because of the sheer volume of games. But I think in terms of the opposition as well, I think we will see a lot of changes, potential, unless we play someone like Wolves. Maybe Winks comes in because we'll have more of the ball, but when let's play someone like your Liverpool's, your top six, your top tens, maybe we go with Wolf and Samora just to add that defensive cover. I'm not too sure, but I think it's going to be a case of trying to be adaptable in terms of playing the same team week in, week out, unlike last season. Because obviously last season Leicester were the favourites in pretty much every single game, so it's a bit different this year in terms of the personnel. Ajay spoke to stream. It'd be difficult, but Ruud Van Nistelrooy said he will adapt to the team depending on who we play. Exactly what I just said. So yeah, good point, Perth. Spot on. Vardy is class, 100%. Yeah, well, we all know that, don't we? It's what he does, and I think yesterday, his work rate was fantastic as well. When he was determined to get Leicester over the line, and I think him and Van Nistelrooy are going to form a pretty good relationship in terms of them two, because obviously they both proven goal scorers in the Premier League. But yeah, I think we should have a quick word about Patson Daka. Obviously, I touched on him a little bit, been up and down for Leicester in his time here. Obviously, got injured in pre-season against Lens. I think he probably would have played large parts of the season if he didn't get that injury. So I want to ask you guys in the chat, do you see Daka starting over Vardy in some games, or do you think it's going to be a case of, is Vardy going to be, the main man for Leicester, and Daka's going to simply come on? Because for me, I think we will see Daka potentially start a few games, obviously over Christmas, because I don't think we can really rely on Vardy to play two games a week, because he won't be able to last. Obviously, he's getting on now, so I think Daka has got a big part to play, really, in terms of coming on, and I think that goal's just going to give him a lot of confidence. I think, Daka, we all know that his pressing's fine. He's got legs. He's fast, obviously, and I think, in terms of his first touch, it's not great. So I think that is a cause for concern, especially if Leicester. Because first up yesterday, there was that period where we won the ball back from defence, and there was just no out ball. We were just pinging it to Vardy, and 8 times out of 10, it was just coming straight back. And I think with someone like, if Daka's starting, I think it's probably more like 10 times out of 10 the ball comes straight back, because I think his touch isn't that great. But then again, you just got that sheer pace in behind, so it is that fine balance, really. But I think bringing someone like Daka on in the last 30 minutes is lethal, really, because the team's tired. You got Vardy pestering them all game, and then you got the pace of Daka to come on. It's another thing to try and deal with. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Ruud uses that. Can Brennan not play against Brighton? I don't think so, which is a shame. But then again, he wasn't actually that great yesterday, so be interested to see who starts. Does Mavididi come in? Does El Khanous start in that more central role? I'm not too sure. Rotation, yeah. Do you not think Samori has enough to be able to progress the ball from deep like Winks? I don't think there's much skill. Which is skill level. Samori is far more, physical / dynamic. Yeah. No, I think Samori. I've said it so many times. I think Samori's got all the attributes to be like a world class midfielder, because I think it came out on Twitter the other day that there's a lot of scouts, suggesting that Samori's going to be like the next Paul Pogba, and you can see why, really, because he's got all the attributes there. It's just about trying to apply that. But yeah, I think so. I think personally, I do think Winks is better on the ball, but there's no reason why Samori can't be. And I think Samori himself can actually progress the ball himself, just running, because he's so physical. It's very difficult to really take the ball off him. And the more games he plays, the more he's going to get used to the Premier League. And some people will call him lazy, but I honestly think it's just a case of trying to adapt to the Premier League, because at times that yesterday he was running a lot faster than his usual little, he's stuck pace. But I think Samara is going to be. I think he's going to flourish under Ruud Van Nistelrooy, and it's fantastic, really, because he's had a difficult start to life at Leicester. We all thought he was going to be sold multiple times, really, but I think now he looks to be more of a mainstay in the team. So exciting times for Booba. I'd start Daka to let him build his confidence. Yeah, I get that. But then again, obviously you got Vardy. If you have the option to start Vardy, I think we'd all agree you've got to start Vardy. You can't ignore that. Vardy needs rest on the bench, and Daka starts for Sunday, maybe. Yeah, obviously talking on Sunday, obviously it's Brighton at home. We'll just spend the last few minutes discussing that one. Obviously, just like we said, Buonanotte can't play for that one, which is going to be a bit of a shame. But played on Tuesday, Sunday. It's a fairly decent break. Does Vardy start? I think he does. But then again, it may be a case of Dak comes on at half time. But that's the thing about Van Nistelrooy. Once again, just like I said at the start of the stream, his substitutions last night were absolutely perfect in my opinion. I don't think there could have been any better subs made by him, really, in terms of the personnel. He adapted to how West Ham changed. Obviously, West Ham brought Danny Ings off at half time. They changed things up. So, and obviously we did that with the likes of Faz coming on. I think the reason why Vestergaard came off was simply the fact that obviously West Ham played Bowen and Kudus a bit more centrally, and Vestergaard was just getting dragged out wide, and you can't really have that. Obviously, he's got his physical presence in the middle to try and stop the crosses. Obviously, going out wide, he hasn't really got the pace to try and get out there. So I think bringing Faz on, obviously, he's been in the wars a bit recently. Well, he's been in the wars the whole time, really. He's been pretty poor, but I think he did all right yesterday, despite his stupid pass towards the end. But yeah, I think that substitution was quite smart from Van Nistelrooy once again. With Buonanotte out, surely Mavididi is a must from the start. Yeah, potentially. I don't think Mavididi did much yesterday though to prove a point to start. Really, I don't think he was great. I think he obviously he always tries to take people on, but I think in terms of his tracking back, it is a concern for me because if Christensen is going to be playing that advanced role at left back, you can't really have Mavididi on the left because he just isn't going to track back. So I think playing someone like El Khanous, who's more used to that kind of central role, I think he's better at tracking back, is going to work for us. So it'd be interesting to see how we utilise Steffi. Does he start from the other flank, the right? I'm not too sure. I don't think we've ever seen Mavididi there, so it'd be interesting to see if Ruud does opt to him on that side. But at least we have some options. Does Ayew start maybe? Don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Ruud makes of Jordan Ayew. Obviously under Cooper, he did start quite a bit, and to be fair to him, he did perform fairly well. So that's another option, of course. But I just think coming up against Brighton, it's going to be very much quite similar to yesterday in terms of the fundamentals of trying to sit back, really, because Brighton can control the ball under someone like Hertzler. Obviously, they're a very dangerous side. They got players like Matoma who are always difficult to keep quiet. They got Baliba in midfield who's just spawned out of nowhere, and he's another crazy player Brighton have got. So it's going to be difficult to keep them out. But then again, I think against Brighton, I think against anyone, Leicester can cause teams going forward. So. Yeah, it's going to be interesting on Sunday. On the right, Casey, but I'm at 10, Mavididi on the left. I think that is probably the way we go. But like I said, my only concern with that is if Christensen is the one advancing. But then again, it may be James Justin. We may mix it up. Happy days, lads. 100%. So many positives in comparison in such a short. Yeah, exactly that. And that's the thing. Look, let's be honest. Yesterday wasn't the best performances, really, because we could have lost quite easily. But the fundamentals of it and how the players, conducted themselves is very promising in my opinion. The chances created, the pressing. I think that's the fundamental thing, really. Like, if the players are putting 100% in, which should be a given, I'm happy with it because as long as you can see the teams fighting and as long as the team's playing collectively in a style and an identity, I don't mind losing. But when we're not, when some players are off, some players are on different, trying to do something different to the other ones, it's like, what's going on? Steve Cooper ball. So I think for Ruud to come in so quickly and change the mood, and obviously he's a slight manager bounce and whatnot, but I think in terms of the style, it's going to come quickly because obviously it is quite similar to Maresca in a sense. But obviously we just need to try and tighten up at the back because you can see the 30 shots, despite some of them being blocked, it's never good. So that is one thing we do need to improve on, but I'm sure we do, and Ruud's well aware of that from his post match. Do you think we have money to strengthen us well in January? I think we do, yeah. Whether that's a case of, do we bring Tom Cannon back maybe? I'm not too sure. Obviously now Daka's coming back in. But I do think we have money to spend. Obviously there is obviously the whole thing about PSR and whatnot. We may have to let someone go. I'm not too sure who though. But I do think we will spend quite big in January from reports. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, to answer your question, I think we do, yeah. Agreed, great subs, kept the game alive. 100%. It's fine margins, really. Obviously, West Ham had that disallowed goal, which would have made it 1-1, and West Ham could have quite easily gone on to win the game with that. Leicester went down the other end through Bilal Alkhanous, made it 2-0, which is obviously fantastic. The subs came after that, I think it was, or obviously there's a few subs before that, and put us in a great position. Obviously, went 3-0 up kind of twice, really. Obviously, the disallowed goal, and then Patson's as well. So, yeah. It's all good. How many loan players are we able to get in? Well, I think from the Premier League, I'm not 100% sure, but I think we may need to send Edward back. That's one player we'll probably let go from reports anyway. But honestly, I'm not too sure. I'm not sure how it works. Obviously, there's been talk about Evan Ferguson. Obviously, we can't get him from Brighton because we've got Buonanotte. But I do believe you can only get 2 from the Premier once on loan. I think that's right. So we may have to send Edward back potentially because I don't think he's going to have anywhere. I don't think he's going to have a role to play in this team really because Edward's not really the type of striker to play on the last man, is he? So I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester terminated his loan and sent him back to Palace come the January transfer window. But yeah, I think we may go for a few permanents. Hopefully, potentially another fullback. Probably another winger maybe on loan. I'd say I don't really want to tie us down to a new winger because obviously we still got Abdul, but obviously he's going to be out for a long time. But I think a loan will probably suit us there. But as long as we can strengthen the squad quite well roundedly, I think that's the best way to do it because I think there's obviously areas we need to strengthen. Probably another centre back as well. Maybe obviously Cody's come in recent weeks and played well last night. So we'll have to see how he gets on in recent weeks. But I think there's still quite a lot of work to be done in terms of players coming in. I feel like the big change was a good defence shape, and over time, hopefully, improve higher up the pitch. Yeah, 100%. I think the shape and where Leicester were in certain positions yesterday wasn't that great in terms of trying to win the ball back and keep possession. But I think going forward, we're always going to cause teams problems because we have so much talent going forward. Obviously, we have Vardy, we have Daka, who's he's just like sheer unknown. Really, he's just he gets it behind and can cause teams problems. You got Steffi, who's always going to cause issues. You obviously McAteer. Haven't really spoken about him too much. I think he had a good game yesterday. I don't think McAteer is ever going to really set the world alight in terms of his performances. But he's a very good player in terms of the system, doing his job, tracking back, and that's why Maresca liked him at the start of his reign at Leicester last season. That's probably why Van Nistelrooy has gone with him, and that's why he's came into the team even under Steve Cooper in the last couple of weeks as well. So. But yeah, I think in general the shape is only going to get better. Just like I said, Van Nistelrooy's had very limited time with the players, so he's going to be working on that. He's going to be working on trying to keep the ball, I think, because at times yesterday we did give it back to West Ham a bit too often, which obviously just invited a whole load of pressure onto us. But apart from that, I thought we managed the game quite well, and defensively, obviously we were under lots of pressure at times, but I thought we did quite well. Set pieces, obviously we conceded late on, but apart from that, I thought set pieces we did quite well. See, West Ham do score a lot of goals from set pieces. They've got a lot, loads of big players, and in lots of Součeks. What was the atmosphere the best it's been since the start of the season? I'd say it was probably on par with Tottenham, maybe. Where I sit, it's never really that good, but yeah, I'd say it was all right last night. Obviously, it didn't help. It was a 8:15 kickoff. Loads of people obviously went early because of how late it was. Come the final whistle, but I think all in all, yeah, it was good last night. So hopefully more of the same. But yeah, boys and girls, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. If you've got any final thoughts, though, feel free to let me know. So we're discussing the transfers a bit. There'll be lots more to come on that. I assume in terms of the rumours and whatnot over the next couple of weeks. But I think Van Nistelrooy will probably have a sort of an idea already of what type of players and what type of positions he does want to bring in. Maybe a few youngsters from PSV and the Netherlands. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, all in all, what a start! What a start for Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Just before we head off, boys. Make sure to go and drop a like. It massively helps the channel, shares it around to more Leicester fans around the world. So that'd be massively appreciated. If you're watching back on playback, feel free to let me your thoughts on yesterday's big win for Leicester in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Sure, most of you boys have. Watch the vlog. I'm doing loads of plugging right now, but yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything. But yeah, boys, I'll see you on Sunday for the Brighton vlog. I don't think I'll do much more between that because not much more to discuss really unless something breaks. But yeah, see you on Sunday, hopefully, for another 3 points down at the King Power Stadium. But we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a tough one, and then we'll be off to Newcastle for a weekend the week after that. So yeah, lots of stuff to discuss. Cheers to everyone in the chat, much appreciated. Loads of comments coming in, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And well, for Ruud Van Nistelrooy, I guess it is 1 out of 1. More to come, really. Up the Leicester.